It's good.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday Newsday episode. Gosh, I think 7 now. I feel like I've been doing this for 17 years already, and it's been like 7 weeks. Welcome to the show, guys. Welcome to chat. I know there's lots of questions and that you're anticipating answers for here today. I've got some for you, and a backer update also just posted, so you can also check that out.
It's good.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday News. Double playback. There we go. I fixed it. I think I do that every week. I am here with my friend Jennifer Brozek. Hi, Jen. I'm gonna make sure they can hear you. Right? Can you talk?
Hello.
Yeah. All right.
So I need to bring this. I can bring this over right
Ooh,
here.
look at that. All right. Let us know, chat, if Jennifer comes through a little quieter than me. Oh, my mic's peaking. Okay, let's pull that down then. Hopefully that's better. But Jennifer Brozek is an author for both lines of BattleTech and Shadowrun, and so I'm super excited to talk to her about her works and her projects. But first, we're going to kick off with the big news. So the big news is about the BattleTech Kickstarter, Mercenaries campaign, and shipping. So I've got some notes here. So I was at the QML meeting, and then immediately following the backer kit meeting, immediately following a meeting with Lauren, to running tech for this while on the phone with Lauren. So it's been a busy afternoon, guys, but I've got some stuff for you. So the first thing that I want to cover is hard stop. The shipping charges are wrong. I think probably like 90% of orders are wrong at this point. And I'm actually waiting to hear back from Backer Kit to see if they're able to just zero it out so that we can take away the stress and put everything back in when it's ready. So the reasons, the top two reasons that they're wrong, that I have for you guys is one, we got a massive spreadsheet from QML, and when it uploaded, we had all the different columns, and it linked to the column that included all shipping, handling, and fees. I always question if I'm supposed to tell you guys something or I'm allowed to tell you guys something. And then I remember that like Lauren and Randall tell things all the time. So I'm allowed to. When we got the invoice for shipping for the whole campaign, it was $2.6 million is all of that. 1.4 million is what's actually going to backers. So Catalyst is covering the 1.2 million, which is the handling and the and fees. So just so you guys know there, that's kind of where we are in terms of the wrong upload, first of all. But while we were digging into this, we found another problem, and special shout out to Michael Tate for this, who left a comment. I'm not even sure how the comment got to me. It was sent in Discord, but like it was a screen capture from somewhere. So thank you, Michael Tate. Because of you, we were able to find out that the map pack, the Savannah's map pack dimensions were entered incorrectly and were entered like they were a BFM. So considering all veteran backers and up get a free one of those, it was adding an extra box pretty much to everyone's shipping that was weird dimensions because it's a BFM. It's not a BFM. So that was incorrect, and that's going to be reworked. But because that's like most of our backers are veteran and up, that means that QML has to basically redo the entire shipping upload for us. So I don't have a timetable yet on how long that's going to take. We have a follow-up meeting with them tomorrow where they're hopefully going to tell us when that is. But big shout out to both QML and to BackerKit for being patient with us as we figure this out and get these kinks worked out and double check everything and spot check items and make sure that everything's coming up the way it should, or will come up the way it should. Some data for you guys to support the work that's being done. Once those two fixes are made, 95% of orders will have shipping under $150. So the only ones that are remaining, we believe, are non-continental US, the rest of the world outside of the hubs, and the main countries, so US, Canada, UK, Europe, and Australia. stores that made large orders and also just other large orders, the Kappa shipments, things like that, that might come up with that. So, so 95% will be under $150. I hope that causes everyone some ease. I'm trying very hard to see if we can get BackerKit to just zero them out, so we just take those scary numbers away from everyone and we don't have to worry about that, and we'll get it re-uploaded. A couple of extra points that have come up as well, just to check on. I'm losing my place in my notes, bear with me. If you were missing shipping charges, there were some people from that. We got the original list that went to QML was in December. And since then we had tried to lock orders, but there were some updates made and allowances that we had and stuff like that. So anyone missing shipping info, that file is being sent to QML to be added to the new update, the new upload. And then we also had some Kappas that had $1 shipping. The Kappa's shipping amounts were in the spreadsheet, but for whatever reason, when we uploaded it, kicked it and just replaced it with $1 for some reason. So that's getting fixed and updated as well. And then we'll be running a final report for anomalies that happens after the upload is done, so that we can make sure that the QML sheet matches the BackerKit sheet as much as possible. And then the other thing to let you guys know too is that initial date. We were hoping this was going to be an easy process. Clearly it was not. This is a giant project and we're all human and make errors. And so we are not going to honor the April 12th charge deadline. So that is removed. We do not have a date to lock yet. We will, or to charge cards yet. We will communicate that when we know. But we don't want to set a date yet until we know that all of these problems will be, and are fixed. So stay tuned on the charge date. But that's pretty much the news that we have at this time. For those that still want to talk about this, feel free to put questions in chat. Totally understand. I am going to focus the rest of the episode on our normal Tuesday Newsday stuff. But if I see a ton of questions, I have no problem finishing up with Jennifer and hopping back on another stream to talk to you all and answer more questions. But I want to make sure that I value Jennifer's time, since she was already planning on being here, and I'm excited to talk to her too. So thank you guys. And I didn't say this yet, so let me stop one more time and say this. Deep apologies for the undue stress, the hassle. Totally get it. There's 25,000 plus of you guys. That's just on Kickstarter, not even including BackerKit. And seeing that kind of shipping charge, I get it. I get the fear around it. We hopefully we're trying to get the communication out on Thursday or Friday. I can't even remember what day it was anymore. Friday. That we will look into it, and I think it was Thursday. That we will look into it and we will work on it, and we are dedicated to doing that for you. Clearly something was wrong. There's no reason that shipping should have been as high as it was. So we are handling that. We will get that to you, and apologies for that stress. So thank you guys so much for your continued support, and we're excited to get all of this merch to you. So, all right. Other things. Now, Jennifer, I want to bring you into the conversation here.
Sure.
Did you see
this sounds fabulous in the way that I'm not actually involved in it.
I hate my life.
No, it's okay. It's all going to be okay, because that's one of the things that I've worked with Catalyst for over a decade. I've seen this kind of thing before, and they will make it fine. I'm just sorry that you're under the gun right now.
It's, you know what? It's if it helps the community. Tyler and I both pretty much were worrying about this all weekend. I reached out to some people to try to get test cases to take to QML, and largely everything showed up once we took away the wrong fees and the BFM issue. They turned out okay. So I do have faith in QML, and if it means doing what's right, then I'll spend my weekend doing that. So, but thank you. I want to talk about April Fools. We had some fun releases for BattleTech.
know literally nothing about it because I spent the entire weekend at NorwestCon dealing with being a panelist and a dealer, running my own Kickstarter, and I will only mention it briefly. My husband's fine. There was a car accident. My car was totaled.
Oh
My husband's
no.
fine. So I had a lot going on this weekend. So I know zero about anything involving April Fools. Um, for pretty much anybody. I was very focused on everything.
Well,
So
April Fools, there weren't any Shadowrun releases, but there
I'm
were
kind of
three
sad about
different.
that.
I know, but I think honestly, with RJ being the new line developer, like I'm sure, like the transition period, there's other
Oh
things to
yeah,
learn
I've
and
had a
focus
couple of
on.
meetings with him and
Yeah,
he's got some really lovely things,
I'm
at
excited.
least on for me, for my side of things. I'm like, oh, I really need X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, I'll add it to the list.
Now, I want to quote this right because this is the one release that I didn't know about until it showed up on social media. I think Aaron, our assistant line developer for BattleTech, is the one that uh, realized that I didn't know about it, so he posted it himself. um, it is the BattleTech Clan Spaniel sourcebook
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
for your pupper needs, your pupper BattleTech needs. So that was a fun release. People seem to have a lot of fun and dog puns for that one on socials. The second April Fool's release was a an all Irby Lamb focused shrapnel
Oh my God. Oh,
issue.
I think I did see that.
Yep, with the red, white, and blue
Yeah, yeah,
Irby.
yeah, yeah.
Um, the detail I love about that cover is that they listed the artists as everyone I think that hates in our company, urban urban Mac lambs.
They call
Um,
them, they look like trash cans and
yeah,
such.
yeah, flying
That's,
trash cans.
I've had conversations with people about that.
They look a little like Buzz Lightyear with the big dome,
I
and then
personally, I don't mind them. Of course, I am an outlier in the fact that I also think mechs are kind of ridiculous, but that's only because I know how well technology works. I used to be a QA engineer. My job used to be breaking software and firmware just by literally looking at it, and I'm very good at breaking software. And when you have 40, 50, 60, 70 tons of machines and programming, yeah, there's a lot that can break.
yeah, yeah, I bet. The third release for BattleTech, and I think my favorite,
Mhm.
is the shirtless Alaric BattleTech romance cover.
I kind of love that. And yes, I did peek into the chat briefly and I saw somebody saying that Catalyst doesn't have any romance, and I beg to differ. I wrote a Shadowrun romance
But
story.
do we have? Did you write one? I know you've done some young adult for BattleTech,
Well,
right?
it was a young adult romance. It
Oh,
was
okay.
called Kiss to Die For.
Ooh, awesome.
So,
So you can get your Catalyst romance in. The other thing, I think it's up. I'm not sure if it is yet, but if you guys haven't seen it, there is a new social media account for Michaela Stackpool, and there may or may not be a short story in there.
well,
So you
I
should
think,
check that out. So, but not until after the show. You're watching the show right now. But I loved the shirtless Alaric. Shout out to Big Red 40 Tech for, I don't know if shout out is the right word, for having that commission. I remember being at Adepticon or KarinskyCon, and he showed it to Lauren, and Lauren like stares at it for a minute and goes, "But why? Like why?" So it's amazing. If you haven't seen it, you can see it on all of our socials. And then I do want to do a special shout out. I saw this in the chat. Talvin in our community did a some April Fool's fun for Leviathans. So Talvin, you should send over the link for that, and I'll get it in the description of the I lost my train of thought of the episode. So awesome. So that was a lot of April Fool's fun. So
Mhm.
thank you guys for playing. Oh, my favorite, by the way, the winner for comments on social media for the BattleTech romance was 50 Shades of Grey Death Legion. I really enjoyed that. I was laughing out loud on video for that. So thanks, guys. Whoever posted that is a winner. Okay, so we talked about April Fools. The next thing, a couple of small things for you is new on the Catalyst store for board games. Centurion is on there, and so is Fandooble. So both great board games. You should check them out. We've talked about Fandooble in the past. Centurion was a Kickstarter from a couple of years ago, I think, and is all fulfilled. So it is on the web store now, and it's a lot of fun. It's expansion to the Duke, which is a hugely popular board game of ours. So it's like next level chess to me. So if you've never played it and you like strategy games, it's a really great one for you. All right, guys, it's time to talk about Jennifer. Hi.
Hi.
Let's start with
How are
BattleTech.
Oh, we can start with BattleTech. I was just thinking about the Nellis Academy incident actually did have some romance in there.
Ooh.
It's been since 2014 since I wrote that, and I don't actually remember the names of the characters, but I had the first canonical gay characters.
Ooh.
I had a lovely romance between two of the other cadets, and then I had the two of them broken up. And so it's just like, the more I think about it, I'm like, I kill a lot of people fictionally, but boy, a lot of them do have some sort of romance in them as I go along.
Awesome. So you can,
Yeah.
Nellis Academy, right?
The Nellis Academy incident, and then I have Rogue Academy. Nadine has a great romance with her girlfriend Lyric. And
Ooh.
I got people after they read the first book, I got fan mail saying if I hurt Lyric, the death pixie, they were going to be very angry at me.
Oh man. Rogues Academy was actually one of the series that was recommended to me when I was starting BattleTech to read. It's a great starter spot if you don't know where to begin.
It is better than Nellis Academy in the fact that I did less had very little in the way of mechs in the Nellis Academy incident. And that was because I was getting my feet wet. I mean, originally I said I wasn't ever going to write about mechs, and then here I am 4 books later.
Yeah, fair.
But this one has all kinds of mechs in it and all kinds of battles and whole lot of fact checking. Whole lot of fact checking to make sure that what I did was possible. And I'm not saying what they do in this book is what you should do with your mechs.
Yeah,
But
if you like in terms of the books, I had a train of thought and it just left. Guys, I have been working like yesterday was a 12.5 hour day. And then today with all the pressure, all of the adrenaline is starting to wear off. So I'm crashing hard. But yeah, I love the idea of starting out with a series that you can get into and get the flavor of it. And with fact checking, that's what I was gonna say. The fact checking. I mean, you said you've been writing for BattleTech for 10 years or
no, I've been writing for Catalyst off and on. I started with the Shadowrun.
Oh, okay. So
and
35 plus years of BattleTech lore, there's gonna be a lot of fact checking to do, right?
there's 35 years of Shadowrun and 40 years of BattleTech.
Yep.
So what I always try to do is find a little area that nobody has written about that I can fill out. I tell micro stories in the macro universe because a lot of my job is to bring new people into BattleTech, get them hooked, and then get them to go, well, what is the Federated Suns? What is the Lyran Alliance? What if I want to play with mechs? And this is the kind of story that parents and grandparents can give their kids to talk about and it's very, I grew up military, so I enjoy writing about teenagers dealing with a military background.
Awesome. So Rogues Academy and Nellis Academy are both young adult, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any other BattleTech young adult that you've done?
No, I've just written the 4 novels. because I'm contracted to do a lot more Shadowrun right now. And that is my first love. I actually have been working in Shadowrun since 1992.
Ooh.
I was the night test lead on Shadowrun, the video game, the NES.
Ooh. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so then the first book I worked on, I believe, was Seattle 2072. I wrote a bunch of the stories in there. Um, And from that, I started writing. I do a lot more of the fluff over the crunch. Um, I ended up working on Shadowrun Returns, the video game, because Harebrained Schemes is in Redmond, and I lived nearby, and I had experience writing for uh, Shadowrun, and I wrote for Ion, the triple MMO.
Oh, cool.
So I had the experience of writing for video games and for Shadowrun. So I did all the dialogue for the first Shadowrun Returns
That's
video game.
awesome. I didn't know that. See,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
just
why I'm
there's
glad we have these talks because, like,
yeah, well, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and it's a little daunting to know how long to be like, oh wow, that's my career could be married and have kids at this point.
yeah, yeah, wow. Uh, wow. When you say it that way, it makes us all feel old,
Uh-huh.
right? Like, um,
Well, I'm 53. I'm not shy about saying that because when people want to go out and drink at 11 o'clock at night at a convention, I'm like, you guys have fun. I'll be going to bed so that I
yeah.
can get up and talk and do workshops and stuff.
Age is a funny thing. Like, I am the years old now where when I'm offered to sleep on someone's futon, I'm like, nah, like, my futon sleeping days are over. Like, I'm good.
Depends on the futon. Some of them are very, very good futons, but most of them, no.
Nah.
I am beyond that stage. But
Awesome.
I'm very focused on Shadowrun these days
Yeah.
because
So
I'm
we talked about your BattleTech books. So heading on over to Shadowrun, what are your Shadowrun fiction books? I know there's a lot.
I have adult and young adult.
Let's start with young adult.
Okay, so young adult, I have the 4 novellas that are out, which are now put together in the Mosaic Run auditions or Shadowrun
Ooh,
auditions.
that's the newest
It's
one, right?
Yes, this one just came out. It has a Kiss to Die For, See How She Runs, Unrepairable, and the Kilimanjaro run in it. And then there is a throughput line that wraps all of them together. Think of it like 4 TV shows.
Ooh,
And then the sequel will come out in July called The Mosaic Run. And it is a novel and it is a heist that includes all of these characters.
cool. I love when books do that. And especially with Shadowrun, like one of my favorites is The Complete Frame Job because it's
Mhm.
one run from 4 different runners'
Right.
perspectives in each novella. So I think that's really clever. I like that approach a lot.
Well, one of the things I like to do with all of my Shadowrun is because they're all running about the same time. And okay, so publishing is a very small business, and people don't seem to understand that. There is so much cross everywhere that whoever you're editing, you will be writing for, and then you'll be proofing for, and you'll be working with. Well, I do that with all my Shadowrun. So someone who might be an antagonist in one book is the protagonist of another.
Ooh,
Yeah, so that is that. uh, I don't do the crossover with the young adult. The young adult are all, how do you fall into the shadows? Because many people fall into the shadows. Many people do not say, I'm going to get up and I'm going to buck the system. I'm going to make my life complicated and make the man hate me and the pearl clutchers think that I am the worst person ever. Nope. Very few people ever actually do that. They fall into it. Circumstances happen. Uh, so we've got 4 stories of how these teenagers become shadow runners.
that's awesome. That's so
Yes.
cool. All right, so auditions. You can get that now on the Catalyst store or Books to Read or Amazon. Um, what else, Jen? Tell me more
Okay,
about your
so
young adults.
not young adult. That's it for young adult
Okay,
Shadowrun. I
okay.
mean, 4 novellas, not bad. And
Yeah,
it's one novel, and then the Mosaic Run will come out in
cool.
July, and that's a full-on novel.
So what about your
Um,
adult?
so I started with Makeda Red.
I didn't know that was your first one.
That was well, okay, technically Dockwagon 19 novella was actually my first
I
Shadowrun.
love that one.
And I may go back to writing Dockwagon stuff.
Ooh, please, 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 please.
That is a thing that John and I have talked about, but I'm contracted for 2 more novels that
Oh,
I.
although the thing that I love about Dock Wagon 19 is that it's from a news anchor's perspective. Like, would
Mhm.
that continue on in if you did more?
I do not know. That is yet to be determined.
That was cool. It's like a ride along where a
It is a
news
ride
anchor
along,
goes with Dock Wagon
and
19. It's super cool.
in Shadowrun, so Makeda Red is set in Europe. I lived in Belgium. You'll hear the Belgian keeps coming up. So it starts in Belgium and ends up in a firefight in Rabat or Morocco. But it's my homage to Casablanca's backstory because Rune Red, or in this case, Makeda Red, was born out of a short story that was a direct homage to Casablanca. And I just love this character. She is amazing, and I wanted to write about her, so I did. Um, Plus, they asked me to write outside of the United States because Shadowrun is a worldwide
Yeah.
uh,
Setting?
game. You
Yeah.
can go everywhere: Australia, Africa, Japan. So that was the first one. And it is a standalone. Now, all of my novels are standalone. You can read them in any order, but you will find characters throughout that
Awesome.
will come up. So the next one was uh, Elfin Black.
I just finished
Elfin
that one
Black
recently.
is yeah, it is set in Snohomish, which is just down the way from me. So if you are a Seattle native, there are some in jokes in here that you will appreciate. But I wanted to write about a completely different story. Um, how do you pin down a powerful man? He's a more powerful one, his father.
Yep.
And I kind of call this the daddy's issue book, but it allowed me to explore a part of Shadowrun that I hadn't explored before. And again, characters from this book show up in this book.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've started planning the next one, so tentatively, the next two are called Imri Gray and Elfin White.
Ooh.
Those are spoilers there.
Awesome. I'm excited
But
for that. I
yes.
really enjoy I loved Elfin Black because of the so much of the fiction is not the traditional runner story, but I love that like we get to see someone that's not a runner
You
as a
know?
protagonist that comes from money, that's part of the systemic problems,
Oh,
and yet like you're kind of like, yeah, I know what you are, but also I'm kind of rooting for you. Like
yeah, he was he's a rich daddy's boy who basically had to determine, do I want to keep the money or do I want my freedom? Well, you know what? I think money is important, and I will continue with my clubbing and being a talismonger.
mm-hmm.
But the more he is slipping farther and farther into the shadows as things go on,
Heck yeah.
and that will Elfin White is gonna bring that up quite a bit more.
Awesome.
But
When are the other two
so
books expected?
Emery Gray is supposed to be out next year,
Okay.
July, and Elfin White is supposed to be out in 2026, July.
Wow. Look
And
at us planning ahead.
we are actually planning ahead. So I don't know if you know this, I'm doing a lot more editing for Shadowrun now
Oh, cool.
because I've been a professional editor since 2009.
Awesome.
I've edited 25 anthologies.
Nice.
And actually, I'm editing 2 Shadowrun anthologies right now. Not one, but 2 with John
Cool.
Helfers. I
Awesome.
don't know if I was supposed to say that. Sorry,
Well,
John, if I wasn't.
oops.
Oops.
Well,
Spoilers.
it's really exciting to yeah, to have different voices, different stories, different storytellers and stuff like that. So thank you for your work on Shadowrun. I think you're one of the, and coincidentally, because it was before I really knew you, I just happened to pick up Makeda Red, And then from there, I was like, ooh, another Jennifer one. I'll pick up Elf in Black too. And so it was kind of cool that I got to know you after seeing the writing and kind of being like that distant fan where I'm like, hi, Jennifer, at cons and
No,
stuff like
I
that.
love, I've been doing this for over 17 years, and I had one of the best moments at the convention this last weekend. Somebody was standing in front of my table trying to figure out if she had both the Shadowrun books. And so she calls home and she goes, talks to her son. So have we moved the Brozek books yet? If not, they're on the dresser because apparently she's got a whole bunch of built-ins. And it was like, not only does she know who I am, she collects my books. I am an adjective again. This is the second time someone has used my last name as an adjective, which is like, the Brozek anthologies now, it's Brozek books. And she's a completist and she wants my stuff. And
Cool.
I just absolutely adored that moment. I felt very seen as an author.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I'm going to use you as an adjective again. Tell us about your other Brozek projects. What
My most
what have you done
current
that's
one?
not Catalyst?
Oh my gosh. Well, I write a lot of horror.
Ooh.
I've got uh, a couple of horror novels that have been up for the Bram Stoker Award. Last Days of Sultan Academy, Never Let Me Sleep, Never Let Me Leave, Never Let Me Die.
Mm.
It's the Never Let Me Melissa Allen trilogy. Um, and those are both young adult. All my stuff seems to get the most acclaim as young adult. Uh, do you want me to mention Dear Pen Pal
I
now?
do. I was
Okay.
segueing dot dot dot.
Dot dot dot. So I am so excited. I don't know how to explain this to the viewers. This is a project I've been thinking about for years. So Dear Pen Pal, Belgium 1980, is a cozy middle grade appropriate ghost story told from fictionalized me at 10 years old, living in a 300-year-old manor house in Bruges, Belgium. I am delving deep into my own history. I'm going to tell you a lot that are and it's told through 24 physical letters, like actual physical mail. You will get 2 letters from me a month for a year.
I loved hearing
Now,
that like that part was so important to you where it's like I want people to have something to look forward to in the mailbox
well,
again.
not only that, it's the ephemeral nature of mail the postal mail that I absolutely love. And a lot of very interesting things happened to me while I was in Belgium, supernatural and not. So one of the aspects is we get to talk about the letters and you know after the fact and say, so which part actually did happen?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot did. Um, for those of you who are concerned about shipping, I have already figured this out. we the postage and everything is already figured out. We have international forever stamps. We have international US stamps. We've got that figured. It
Awesome.
should be absolutely cool because I am one of those people who also really does, when I'm doing my Kickstarter, there's only going to be one physical add-on, and that is actually going to be the coloring book by Elizabeth Guizzetti, and she is taking care of that.
Ooh.
She will be doing that because she's an artist and she does all that stuff already.
Awesome.
But I will tell you stories about the 8-foot stone wall, the escape tunnel under the house that I wasn't supposed to know about,
Ooh.
the bell tower that still existed, the day the dog fell over the wall, the stranger dog fell over the wall, over the 8-foot stone wall. The dog was fine, by the way.
I
It
want
wasn't even, it was our neighbor's dog.
I
But
want all the
how,
stories.
how would a dog fall over your 8-foot stone wall? The backyard is as big as a football field, like literally a football field. You have to realize I lived in military quarters for most of my young adult life. I mean, the garden plot in Belgium was bigger than my backyard in Kennedy Courts.
Wow.
So one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, beyond delving into my family history, I mean, some of the packages you get the family playlist and you get some recipes, but taking a page from some of the other Kickstarters I've watched. There's a couple of really big packages that include one-on-one calls for a year, 12.
Ooh.
And these are the kinds I would really love that either someone who is junior in their writing career would like some mentoring. They want to be mentored or they want some of their stuff critiqued. Um, that's the kind of package you want to go. I can't even remember the name of it. I think it's
Pick,
called Param.
I pulled it up so that I could give the link. So let's
Not the
see.
spooky fun pack. Oh, haunted house calls.
Yeah.
The
Oh, that's
haunted
cute.
house calls. It is either. I did talk to a couple of supportive spouses who are like, my spouse needs an editor. They don't understand. And I'm like, well, give the letters to your child and you can gift the phone calls to your spouse. And I would mentor them for a year.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, and it's one of those things I like to give back, but I also want um the I want people to understand there's so many different things you can do with those personalized calls. Like if you have, say, if you're doing homeschooling and you would like someone to come in and do 12 episode lesson from
Ooh.
afar, I could do that.
That's cool.
Yeah. If you want to have me part of your book club for a year, I can do that too.
Oh, that's cool.
Absolutely. We would have the discussions, we would pull out the books. It's just like, how do you want to do this?
Yeah.
So that's one of the big uh phone calls. But the straight up normal package, the bi-monthly Phantom Post. Not only every letter is already written, and if everything goes right, every letter will have a coloring book page in it as well.
Awesome. Awesome. That's cool. I'm so excited for this. Like I think it's such a cool idea and having something to look forward to in the mail. And the ghost stories, like you started telling me about just the story of the basement tunnel and stuff and I'm like, "Go on."
Yeah, I was never supposed to know about that. My brother and I found it. And there were some very interesting things. Puppies.
Yeah, he is insistent right now, so.
Yeah, I'm surprised my Lilu hasn't come back again for attention. Uh, but that is my main focus right now, and I'm trying so hard to get it to. I I've spent so much time on it, and it's called a passion project because it is something I couldn't sell traditionally,
Yeah.
and it's not an unusual thing in the fact that the Max letters exist, the flower letters exist, letter joy exists. Well,
Mhm.
but they don't exactly do what this one is. This is a single story told from a single point of view.
Mhm. That's awesome.
And I hope people will like it. I mean, I'm happy to answer questions about it. I'm happy, or any of my fiction.
Mhm.
I just spent an entire weekend talking and teaching at a convention. So I'm still kind of in that mode where I'm like, all right, you know, as Stephen Barnes put it, come on, challenge me.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's see. I just making sure that all of the I got pinged by um some of my mods, so I want to make sure that everything is good. Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you, mods, by the way. I appreciate you guys. All right, so thank you. Anything else you want people to know? Where can people find or follow you or learn more about what you've got working on before we get to our questions?
Okay. JenniferBrozek.com. If you want to follow me on social media, I am most active on Blue Sky. I have been more active on Facebook lately. I have a presence on Twitter, but if you want to just chit chat with me, Blue Sky and maybe Facebook. You can ask me questions. If I don't know the answer, I probably know who has the answer because I like to be able to connect people to each other.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to questions. So if you guys have questions for Jennifer, I am going to skip for now the Kickstarter questions. Again, if I see a lot of those or the mods pass a lot of them to me, I can do another stream after this.
Yeah.
But I want to focus on our guest today. And apparently, I'm being fed. I misspoke earlier. Savannah maps were free for battalion levels and higher. So I
Oh.
misspoke earlier when I said that. So thank you for clarifying, Jaskell. All right. From Talvin,
Mhm.
thank you for getting Ferp into a Shadowrun story. That caught me totally by surprise. He would have loved it. Still miss him.
Oh, Herb was a favorite of mine, and I can't figure out a way to bring him into another story. At least not yet. I might. I might.
Awesome. That's so sweet. All right. Prussian Havoc says, for Jennifer, having such a broad and deep perspective of being a CGL author, what is the one thing that has changed the most since the earlier days? Any thoughts?
Oh, I'm gonna spill a little tea here then. In the earlier days, honestly, it was less organized. I'm just gonna be flat out. It was a lot less organized.
That terrifies me.
Oh, no, I have some stories that you and I will have over drinks later.
Make sure I'm at least 3 drinks in before we start sharing those, or my anxiety's gonna spike.
No, but I think that at least on the fiction side, I know we are moving to a much more codified, regular system. Um, and I am grateful for that, especially if I am going to be doing more editing for Catalyst, and also continuing to write. I think there are, well, I mean, BattleTech is having its heyday right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there is a great love of that. And Shadowrun is kind of in its shadow, which makes me a little bit sad, but I understand
There,
it.
there's a trend though where it seems like when BattleTech is doing well, Shadowrun doesn't do as well, but then when BattleTech isn't doing well, Shadowrun peaks.
Yeah.
Weird.
And we've got so much good fiction coming out. Um, and I'm really not certain if I should say that other thing, so I'm not going to say that at all, because that one might actually get me in trouble.
Fair.
But I do a lot of behind the scenes work, and I work with John Helfers a lot. Uh, so we are codifying things in a way that it's actually working better as a writer and someone who works for Catalyst. I know it doesn't seem like it from the outside, but it is.
Hmm.
And I hope that that means that the fiction and the games that are coming out, um, they're coming out more smoothly than they were in the past.
Good. Good. Um, again, that is a surprising answer for me. That makes me fear to look backwards into the. It's like there's a snake under that rock, and you shouldn't look under that rock, so it's making the decision to keep walking.
Well, no, it's a question, is it a rattlesnake or is it like maggots? You
Oh
know,
no,
it's like, is it something that's going to bite you, or is it something that's going to be like,
that's just
oh,
gross.
but
Yeah.
harmless?
Papa Chicken asked for Jen. I
Yes.
loved Nellis Academy. Thank you for writing it. What is your process when you get stuck on some piece of plot not adding up? How do you overcome the hurdle?
Well, so when you write BattleTech or Shadowrun, you actually have to go through this whole process of like getting an outline and getting that approved. I have to do less of that now because I'm so deep into it, but I still have to make sure everything works. If I get stuck, I will frequently, well, if it's BattleTech, I will ping someone like Chris Love, um, who's my favorite MVP
Knows
person.
everything.
He does all the things. And then on Shadowrun, it's Jason Hardy. I so there's a scene in Elfin Black where someone is in a warded room and they need to be taken out of the warded room safely. So I was like, can I get a warded trunk into the warded room, put the person into the warded trunk, and then get the warded trunk out of the room? And the answer turned out to be yes. But like that was a Jason Hardy. I'm like, how does this work?
Yeah.
Because I know we're writing in fiction. but I want to keep one step of reality
Right.
into my fiction. I want someone to read something in my book and go, oh, I want to do that too. I really want to do that. And then I don't want them to go to the rules and go, oh, you can't do that. Why did they write this thing when you can't do this thing?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
why I guess the short answer for that question is I go and I talk to somebody if I'm having a plot problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually I just have to do some rubber ducky decoding, which
Mm.
basically means I explain the problem to someone else who basically sits there and nods their head, and then I figure it out while I'm explaining it to them.
Sometimes that helps. Like I think I did that earlier with when earlier today when I was like, okay, step 1 we need to do this. Then step 2 we need to okay, yes, that's how it works. No, this needs to be step 2.5. So awesome. Cool. All right, well thank you for that question.
Yeah.
Um Also for from Prussian Havoc, what is the most challenging aspect of being a gateway author for Shadowrun and BattleTech, and are they different?
Oh, it is actually they're the same. To be a gateway author is you have to be able to write a good story that does not intimidate a new reader while entertaining the old guard. Fortunately for me, I think I write a pretty good story. And it's the details around that story
Mm.
that makes or breaks it. If I, like I said, Nellis Academy didn't have any mechs until like 2/3 into the story.
Mm.
If I were to go back and rewrite that, I would have had at least the presence of mechs around in the beginning, but I wouldn't have done anything with them. The best thing to do is to write Easter eggs and stuff that the old guard really understands. Like
Mm-hmm.
they understand like the nuances and the layers deep
Hmm.
of saying something like, "Oh, that was in Dunkelzohn's will." You say something like that, and everybody's like, "Oh, really?" Whereas, a new reader will be like, "Okay, I don't. What does that mean? Who cares? Okay, it was in a will. It was bequeathed. Okay, whatever." It's only later, once they figure out who he was
Mm.
and why Dunkuzon's will from ages past is important. I will say that in doing auditions, I did some serious looking into Crash 2.0, and I brought back some stuff.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm sorry, for Mosaic Run. You don't get it in auditions. You get it in Mosaic Run.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, when
Uh
you write so many novels over the time, and there's the distance between writing and release, things get mixed up.
yeah.
But yes.
Okay. All right. Jack L asks, how often do you have to return story ideas that are basically just following a fictional campaign unit somebody made up?
Never, never. Um, Actually, can you repeat the question? Let me make sure I
I think this
understand
is
this.
like as an editor. How often do you have to
Oh,
return story ideas that are basically just following a fictional campaign unit that someone made up?
okay. So here's a thing I'm putting on my editor's hat, and we're getting serious. Never write up your campaign. If you're going to write up your campaign to sell, nobody's going to get any of the in jokes. Nobody's going to have any of the history. Nobody's going to care about what you care about. But what they will care about is you telling a story that's loosely based on it,
Mm.
that has some of the emotional nuances, that didn't have the exact same things happen, but it was like a different variation of it.
Mm. Alternate timeline.
Yes. Here's the thing. Um, Real life doesn't make sense. Prose has to.
Mm.
And you never want it to sound like someone's reading off a grocery list. Even if it's mech fiction where you want to talk about every bit of the heat sinks and the actuators and how far your missiles are going, you don't want it to sound like a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be emotional. You want it to impact the story or the character. So you can base your stories on your campaigns. Don't write up your campaigns.
Cool.
because most of that's just terrible. It really is.
It turns into fan fiction.
No, there's a lot of really good fan
There
fiction.
is, but
It's just
there's
it's
also a
hard
lot of really terrible fan fiction.
to- it's true. It's true.
Prussian Havoc said, "I love the shades of gray idea of picking up one book's antagonist and making them the protagonist in the next book. Is empathy for such a character especially challenging?"
Well,
It's
it
a good
can
question.
be, but the question is whose point of view is the story being told from? So there's an antagonist in Makeda Red
Mm-hmm.
who you don't trust, but you want to root for, but you don't trust.
Yeah.
And when you're in Makeda's head, you understand why you don't trust them because she cannot. In Elf in Black, you start to get within that person's head a little
Mm.
bit more and their motivations.
Okay.
And
Okay. I
it's
see
like
that.
it's whose point of view are you coming from? Because history is there's the winner, there's the loser, there's what actually happened, and then there is who wrote what down.
Yeah.
There's actually 4 points to any story, especially a written one. Each side, what actually happened, and what was written down.
I like that. That's it reminds me of like college psychology where like I always get them backwards, but I think it was Nietzsche that said like Historia is the facts of what actually happened.
Mhm.
And was it Geschichte, I think, is the individual's perception of what happened. Um that isn't entirely factual.
Right. And
So
it's kind of
interesting.
like the whole Rashomon thing. Everybody can look at a situation from their own point of view and their own biases and their own literal physical point of view,
Mm,
where they couldn't see something that someone over here could see.
yeah. Huh. Okay. 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 Feel free to not answer this if you don't want to.
Okay?
Uh, is that Shadowrun ink that I spy?
Wait, actually, hold on. Mm, no, I have no shadow running. I have I want to get a stone version of the Shadowrun logo, but I only want it if Peter Tikos can
Ooh,
to
cool.
me. And he currently lives in Budapest or
Yeah,
Hungary or
that
somewhere near there.
makes it harder. So,
He might be going to Norway. I don't know. He is my favorite artist. He did he did this,
aw.
and I absolutely love his work. He also did the re-release of Never Let Me. Um, he did the cover of A Kiss to Die For,
Ooh.
See How She Runs, and Unrepairable. And then Hungary has some very interesting tax changes and things. He's not able to work with us for
Mm.
various reasons. Um, we're still working on seeing if we can figure out a way around that, but we don't want to get him in trouble.
Yeah,
But I will, if I ever meet Peter, I will get a Shadowrun tattoo.
that's
I mean,
awesome.
I will say if my Kickstarter hits something like 50,000, I will just get the Kickstarter the thing.
Right?
But I don't know if that will happen. I
Awesome.
really don't know if that will happen. It's oh, my Kickstarter's gone up. Oh,
Yay! Oh my gosh! Yeah, I should have.
hey,
Remember we talked about this before the show. Sometimes if we're live and the Kickstarter goes up, like we'll do happy dances for you. That's fine. Like, thank you so much. If one of you fine folks was the one that backed that, thank you very, very,
thank
very
you very,
much.
very, very much. That is lovely, and it makes me smile. Uh, especially in this. It was a very tough weekend, but high stress, but it's good. It's all good. Um, but yeah, no, I don't have any shadow running.
Question
Um,
for you. It's not noted down, but I do. I think it's probably from Prussian Havoc. Any Leviathan stories in your future?
as far as I know, not right now. There are some stuff that Cattle is working in the IP world that I may have a major role in. but it's stuff that's on the radar.
Mm.
So right now I am editing 2 Shadowrun and I'm writing 2.5 more novels, or I'm
Okay.
finishing up a novel and writing 2 more. Um, that is what's currently contracted on my plate. Um, if they want me to write Leviathan, I have to get much deeper into it so I actually understand the nuances of it. Um, so I guess the short answer is no.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's all the questions that are listed for me, I think. Um, so what I can do, we still have about 4 minutes left, and I only see about 4 questions about the Kickstarter. So I think we can deal with those real quick before we say goodbye for the evening. Um, so Cabal17 asks, what about folks who have already paid the originally posted shipping charges? There's a month, I think, ish, that BackerKit allows us to refund your last credit card purchase. So we can do a partial or we can do a full on that. So if there's credit due at the end of shipping and stuff like that, that can absolutely be refunded. K Crematide is the tax on shipping part of the errors, or will that still be there? I believe that had to be put into BackerKit manually, if I'm correct. I'm not sure if Tyler's in chat or not. But some states some states require tax on shipping and some don't. If you see something that's wrong, feel free to reach out through the messages on Kickstarter. And we will absolutely double check that if your area qualifies or not. Eric Johnson. So will this shipping cost issue cause issues with the June date of sending stuff out? Not at this time. Part of why we were hoping that it would be super easy and that we could charge by April 12th and get all that going is so that QML is ready to go when all of the last shipments arrive. All of the shipments arrive. I don't know how much is there and how much isn't for the Kickstarter, and arrives at their hubs. We just want to be ahead of the game as much as possible. So it's fine. At this point, that will not cause a delay, as of right now. And John W., will we be able to cancel the BFM from our orders if this one item is adding drastically to the shipping? You can always reach out and we can definitely look into it for you. I don't anticipate, I think really the answer is wait and see what shipping really comes back to when we get the correct amount updated. And if something still isn't great, then we'll deal with that for you. So, yeah, we're open to that if it's undoable for you. So, yeah, so that's all the questions I have. So I think that probably at this point we probably don't need another stream. Maybe we'll do one later this week if there's more questions or stuff to answer. But really, I think wait and see what the new shipping says. We'll hopefully after our meeting tomorrow be able to tell you at least when we expect that new shipping to get uploaded. So but yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and thank you, Jennifer, for being here. Really appreciate
Thank you.
It's always fun to talk to you. I'm gonna post one more time for the chat Jennifer's Kickstarter link. Copy.
Won't you be my pen pal?
Aww. Paste. Boop. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you next week. Oh, I think I've confirmed next week's guest is BattleTech line developer Ray Arastia. So
woohoo! That's
yay!
gonna be a good one.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week on Tuesday Newsday. Thank you guys.